Hi everyone, Vincent here, and welcome to another Success Story Sunday. This is where I read out a success story email that has been sent to me by you guys, the community. I've had my channel now for over 7 years. I have nearly 17,000 subscribers, and what that means is, over the years, people listen to my content and then they drift off into the sunset when they find the resolution to what is happening in their life. And I've recently been reaching out to the community, asking people to let me know what happened to them and their situation. And the success stories that come back to me, I'm now starting to read out to you, the community, on Sundays, hence the title, Success Story Sundays. And if you have a story that you would like me to read out, and of course, I will protect your privacy, then send me an email, vincent@dateme.tips. And then I will read out your story and the community can gain from what has happened. So today we have an email which is connected to a situation that I'm assuming lots of you could resonate with one way or the other, and that is connected to cheating. So let's get straight into the email. Hello, Vincent. I want to share my story because your podcasts helped me very much in the darkest time. I am, and then he puts what country he is from, and English is not perfect, so sorry for mistakes. So he is not from an English-speaking country. Okay, he continues. I was with my girlfriend almost 3 years. She is a good woman. And I did something very stupid. Now, anybody listening, I'm sure could resonate with making a mistake. I mean, whether this is cheating or something else which you deem to be very detrimental to your relationship, we can all connect with that concept. Me as well, none of us are perfect. We're all human. So as the email goes, I was with my girlfriend almost 3 years. She is a good woman. And I did something very stupid. I cheated. Only one night, but it destroyed everything. She found out and she was crying, screaming, and then she left him. I will never forget the look in her eyes that day. It was like I kill the trust. And this is really important to reflect on. Anybody who is considering doing something that deep down you know you shouldn't be doing, you have to understand the likelihood is, one way or another, at some point, your partner is likely to find out. And if and when they do, this is going to damage the trust between you. And where there isn't trust, in essence, there isn't a relationship. Okay, so he goes on. First months, I was desperate. I call her many times, write long messages, even went to her house one time. Now this is classic. When you're desperate and you want to try to reconnect with somebody who has ended your relationship, of course, you're going to be thinking of anything you can do, and that will involve what we call chasing. Now, of course, this isn't to say that you shouldn't be trying to sort things out, but when it seems as though the breakup has been finalised, you need to respect their decision. And as he puts here, first month. So first few months, I was desperate. I call her many times, write long message, went to her house one time. So obviously the breakup had settled. Everything had been decided. And yet he was still continuing. Most of the time that is not going to help you. Okay. Unfortunately, if you have had a breakup take place and the dust has settled, if you then proceed to chase, it's very unlikely you will be able to find success that way. She told me I am selfish and she doesn't want to see me again. Now that's understandable. I'm sure all of us can think about what has happened to this woman. It's understandable that she feels this way. Now, even though we're reading this out from, it's a man who has wrote this to me and it's about his ex-girlfriend, it doesn't matter what position you are listening. Maybe you are one of my subscribers who is a woman, or maybe you are a man, but you're in a homosexual relationship, or a woman in a homosexual relationship, whatever the dynamic, it's still the same situation. It is regarding breaking trust. She told me I'm selfish and she don't want to see me again. After that, I listen to your YouTube and I finally understand I must stop begging because I only make it worse, as we've just described. So I go quiet. I go to gym, I fix my work life, I read books about honesty and about manhood. Now, these are classic things I suggest people do. I always suggest going to class groups or clubs. And in this instance, he's gone to the gym, which, is something that is a great idea for most people because it helps you stay fit and healthy. Also, depending on exactly your gym situation, you could be within a group or certainly see other people. That type of connection with other people can be very helpful as well. He does well in his work life, it sounds like, reads books, really, really good, about honesty, about manhood. I'm guessing that means about maybe masculine, feminine polarity, possibly. I don't know. He doesn't go into that. And then he puts, I also start writing letters to myself and to her, but not sending them. So I think what he's mentioning there is what I have said in the past about ideas, but I have where you can write everything down in the concept of a letter to your now ex, and in essence read it out to yourself, but never send it to them. It's never really meant for them, but it's about releasing the emotion, reading it out to yourself, and just kind of understanding what has gone on and feeling like you have a level, not so much of closure, but you feel that you've been able to say what you want to say. It's like lifting a burden off your shoulder, I guess. Could be a good way of describing it. And that sounds like what he's done there. Writing letters to myself and to her, but not sending them, to really understand why I cheat. It was not about her. It was about my own emptiness. This was very painful to admit. After almost 5 months, I saw her by accident in the supermarket. My heart was shaking, but I stay calm. I just say hello and smile. Now let's just break that down. 5 months, that is slightly earlier than the average amount of time I suggest that you might have some type of connection with your ex-bedumper, but obviously this wasn't in regard to the ex reaching out to him. This was a random bumping into one another. Now, I don't know how likely this was, whether they lived very, very close and this was quite likely, or whether this was surprising. I don't know. But obviously it happened. He said, I stayed calm and just said hello and smiled. That is exactly what I suggest you do if you bump into your ex. Later that night, I send a short message. I am sorry for how I acted before. I hope you are well. She replied the next day. It was very short, but it was something. Now, this is interesting because this isn't exactly what I would suggest you do. I wouldn't suggest that you reach out to your ex most of the time. However, I do have a caveat where I suggest that if you have not apologized for something you need to, then that is a valid excuse to reach out to your dumper. And in this regard, obviously, he cheated. Now, what I don't know, unless he mentioned it at the beginning, which I can't remember whether he had actually mentioned whether he apologized at the time of a situation. I think he may have done. But either way, he obviously felt he needed to apologize either again or more clearly, and hence he decided to reach out and send a message, which I don't believe is the worst thing you could do. Now, like I said, it's not something I generally suggest you do as a dumpy, reaching out to your ex, even if you bumped into them. I don't normally suggest that, but it highlights a point, which is there is no 100% guaranteed way to get an ex back. Nothing works 100% of the time and nothing fails 100% of the time. But if you follow what you believe to be right at that moment, and he obviously felt he needed to apologize, then you're following your truth in that regard. And, he did do something wrong. We know he did something wrong. And he decided to reach out and apologize. She replied the next day. It was very short, but it was something. Step by step, we talk more. After 2 weeks, we meet in a cafe. I didn't try to push her. I only listen. And I told her, honestly, I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know I'm not the same man. I understand what I did, and I will never do it again. I think she saw the difference. So again, let's look at that. Step by step, we talk more. After 2 weeks, we meet in a cafe. So yeah, I mean, that is going really well, obviously, through the communication stage. You need to make sure that you are not staying too long within the communication stage, because if you do, you can just fall into the trap of being a pen friend, a text friend, in essence, a friend. This needs to be moved on to a meet when appropriate. Now, it's not overly clear who suggested the meet, but obviously it took place within a couple of weeks, and that is really, really positive. Again, he apologised. Nothing wrong with apologising about what you've done, especially when it's severe as cheating, but once again, it's not necessarily what I would suggest to continue to apologise. But again, you've got to follow your truth. You've got to do what you feel is right in that moment. And that is what he's done. It was obviously significantly bad, what he did do. So, it's very understandable. But I want you to know I'm not the same man. I understand what I did, and I will never do it again. I think she saw the difference. Now we are back together. Slow but real. She says it will take time to trust me again, but she also says she sees the effort, the patience, and the changes. For me, this is a second chance. It is like gold. I mean, that's brilliant. He's obviously not going into depth what happened after between meeting and properly reconnecting, but I think it's safe to assume they enjoyed the meet and they decided to see each other again and again, and it's flowed from there. Vincent, without your advice, I would never get here. You helped me keep respect and build and rebuild myself. I hope my story shows that even after betrayal, you really can change, and sometimes love can return. Thank you so much for sending this email. It would not have been easy to write and live through that again, but obviously you're in a great position now, and I wish you the absolute best of luck that this can continue to grow and rebuild this brand new relationship. And for anybody listening, what it shows is, as well, although nothing can be guaranteed, there is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back. What is also important to say is there is nothing which is impossible per se. This person cheated on their partner. They likely felt they would never reconnect. It was, 5 months, I think he said. A chance meeting. Now, who knows? If they hadn't have met, would his ex have reached out? I mean, it's hard to say. We will never know. But what we can say is that it did happen, it did take place, and the reconnection has played out. And hence, we never know when the story ends, and we never know what's around our next corner. So you need to live a positive life. Even if you have made mistakes, understand that there is always a reason to try and change your life around. Whether you get your ex back or whether you eventually find someone even better, it's important to not give up, Even if you've made a mistake, there is always a chance that you can find happiness. And this is why you can get your ex back.